Hello, welcome to the channel. Straight down the tech desk today, as we are going to be adding the Rise4 remap kit for our PS5 controllers from Extremerate, which essentially means you've got 4 extra assignable buttons on the rear of your controller. It's an absolute game changer. It's superb. So with this kit, you get everything you need for BDM-010 and BDM-020. If you don't know which controller you've got, don't worry, just buy the pack and I'll go through all of it in the tutorial. And it comes with everything, so you get this really nice grippy textured controller, all the buttons, everything you need. And it can all be assigned on the fly as well. And at the end of the video, I'll just go through on how you assign buttons to these paddles. Okay, without further ado, let's jump into the tutorial. So here we have everything laid out. I'm going to talk to you all about the individual pieces as we go through. Certainly all these as we go through the mod. We'll talk about all them. But I just want to talk about a couple of things before we get started. In the pack, you get a screwdriver and a prying tool. I will be using this prying tool. I won't be using this screwdriver though. It's good and it can be used, but I've got myself one of these. I'll link down below where you can get hold of these. I just find it easier to be able to use this than the one that comes in the pack. And also I've got myself some tweezers, not essential, but a couple of bits that are a little bit fiddly. Might be an idea to get one of these if you can. This is a magnetic mat. Again, you don't need one of these, but I've got one anyway. These are the extra screws that I'm going to be needing, and they all come in the pack. But if you look in the pack, you get all of these screws. These are all spares, so I don't need any of them. And also in the pack, you also get this piece. This piece here is for when you're soldering. Now, the difference between the soldering and the non-soldering is, if you want to use the L3 and R3 and the touchpad, so where you want to map your buttons to any of these 3, you need to be doing soldering. I won't be doing that in this video, so there's no soldering involved. It is just for the buttons, for any of these buttons here, any of these buttons, and the triggers. Throughout the video, I'll be giving you some tips, some really, really useful tips that I found that have really helped me out on getting us up. And the first one is already straight off the bat, is we're going to be taking this front plate off. And the way to do it, first of all, is either getting a nail or getting the prying tool into the back of here. And you get into the back of here, it just makes it so much easier to pop off, okay? So don't start anywhere around here. Just go right to the back where the controller is, stick your fingernail in or something, and then pop that out. Okay, and then once that's done, it's easy. You just pull this off, pull it out gently, take it off. That can be put to one side. You don't need that until we put it back on later on in the video. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to be taking off the triggers. Another tip here is how to do this really easy. We'll want to take off L1 and R1. And what you're going to do is you're going to get your screwdriver. You're going to get your thumb on the trigger, pull the trigger down, get the screwdriver into just under it, not too far in, just under the right-hand side of the button. Pull it up, and then to the left-hand side, pull it up. Then it comes out, and the same with the other side. Put your thumb, pull the trigger down, screwdriver in, very, very gently in, no force required, there we go, and then pop them 2 out and put them to one side. Next up, this is where we're going to be doing our first lot of screwing. So we need to remove 4 screws, one there, one there, one under the trigger we've just taken out, and the other one under that trigger we've taken out. So get 1, 2, 3, 4 unscrewed and put to one side. So once that's done, what we're going to be doing now is going to be taking off this back shell. Another tip is when you're separating it, so putting your prying tool in here, it's the mechanism for it to be is around there somewhere. So get it in, get your prying tool in, and make sure you get up to this point up here and then just give it a bit of a waggle. And then it will pop open like that. Okay, so once that's popped open, leave it, move to the other side. Again, start down the bottom, move it up around here somewhere, and then give it a bit of a waggle. There we go, and it's popped open. Now move to the front of the controller, and just make sure that these 2 little clasps here, that they've unpopped. So get your prying tool underneath them 2, and we can see it's already starting to unroot itself. And all you're going to do is you're just going to gently pull it all the way around. Keep going, keep going, keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, and it will come off. Okay? Then put this to one side. You won't be needing this again, ever, because we're going to be using the one that comes in the kit. So that can be put to one side, back in the box maybe, somewhere safe. Next thing to do is take the battery out, and that's simple. Just get that and just pull the cable out. Like so. Put that to one side. When we need that again until we put it back in. And then we have this plastic battery cover here, which we're going to take that screw out. First of all, you've got to take this rubber piece out that has a cable in it. So just be very careful and just pull it out very gently. Okay, so make sure that's out. If you want to, you can pull it out completely out of here, but I just tend to leave it in just so I can fold it around. And then once that's out, just get that screw out and take the screw out for the plate there. Once you unscrewed that, this now plastic bit, very gently remove that and put it to one side. Next up, you're going to take two cables out, and it's this cable here and this cable here, and it's dead easy. What you're going to do is you're going to use your fingers or the pronto, and you're going to pull it out, and it will come out of that one and that one. And you won't be needing that again, so again, put that in the box. And this side, pull that one out, and then all the way over there, pull that one out, like so. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to be pulling out this blue bit here. So this blue, now this one, the tip here is quite stiff, so give it a little bit of a waggle. So getting it waggling out, that can be quite stiff. I found that being stiff a few times. And poke it almost underneath the circuit board, because we're going to be lifting this circuit board up. Now, if you've got a new controller, I've done this before in an old controller, and I haven't had those rubber grommets in my controller, and they kind of help the circuit board sit in there. So we're going to pull it up, but we kind of need to be a little bit forceful, but not too forceful. But we kind of want to poke it up where the rubber bits sit, just so we can poke it up. So just be very gentle and make sure they come off like that. And then over here, I would put your fingers, a tip is put your fingers on the thumbsticks and push it up, push them up through, just very gently, give them a little bit of a waggle until they come through like that. There we go. And then we can fold this back a bit. And what we're going to be looking for is this piece in here. So in the kit, go and grab this cable here. I've already bent this because I've already been using it. And what we're going to be doing is you need to turn it over so the sticky pad bit, which I've only taken off a little bit, is facing towards you, and you're going to place it onto there. So onto these two connecting pins there. So put that on, and it will just sit there by gravity. It kind of clips in a little bit, but not very much. So just get that sat in. Okay, as you can see, I've got that sat in there. And then while that's in, close up your motherboard and get it sat nicely on there, making sure that this cable is still attached here, and then this blue one here, you can push that back in. Okay, there we go. Next up, what you're going to do is you're going to grab the instruction manual here, and you're going to grab these two white cables that come in the pack. And you're going to work out whether your controller is BDM-010 or 020. Now, I know that my controller is a 1 controller because it says there. All you need to do is look on the board there, and it will say 020 or 010. So this is a 1 controller. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab the cable, and you're going to cut off the bits that say 2. It explains it all in there. So I've cut off this bit here, which said 2, and on here I've cut off this bit here that says 2 as well, and there that says 2. So once you've done that and cut that, it's dead easy. If you've got a 2 controller, you'll need to cut off the bits from 1. If you've got a 1 controller, you need to cut off the bits that say 2. And this bit here will go onto the left-hand side, like so, because it goes along up like that. And this one goes on to the right-hand side of the controller, whereas this bit pokes this way. So what we're going to do is we're going to put this one onto the right-hand side of our controller, this bit into here, and this bit into here. And the way you know you're going to get it right is once you put this bit into here, the black bit will be facing inside the controller, and this bit, wangly bit here, when you bend it over, the black bit is at the top, and kind of the circuit bit is done underneath it. Okay, so I always like to put this one in first because it's just a bit easier. So put that in there, and then fold it over and poke this bit in. And then, as we said, this bit, when it folds over, it's black at the top and circuit underneath. So once that's in, we're going to go on to the left-hand side. And as we said before, we're going to make it so it goes along up, right? So we know that this bit here goes into there, and this bit here goes into there. So first of all, put this bit in. Then fold it over, and then poke that bit into there. Therefore, we should have it like this. We should have this bit like that, and this bit like that. Now we are going to put the battery pack on. So put this back on, so make sure it goes underneath these cables. Like so. And remember, we've got to fit this bit back in as well. So make sure that's just folded out of the way. Get the battery pack sat on the way it should be. There we go, so that's all sat on there nicely. And get this bit poked back in. There you go, and then just sit it in there nicely. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get the battery screw, and I'm going to screw that back in just to get this nice and secure. Once that's all in, get your battery, get that back plugged in, and then sat underneath these cables. Then what you're going to do is you're going to take the sticky label off this, entirely off this, and just stick it to your battery along there, like so. And stick it on, make sure it's underneath your cables. Stick it on like that, so it's stuck to the battery. And then there are 3 ports here. There's one there, and one there. We don't use that one because that one is for if you are going to be doing the soldering, which we haven't been doing. This one is obviously for this one, and this one is for this cable here. So get those 2 cables plugged in. All you're going to do is going to flip up the black piece there. Poke this cable in, and then flip the black piece down to secure it, like so, and do that with this one as well. Black piece up, fit it in, black piece back down to secure it in. There we go. Now put this to one side because we're going to go and build this piece here. So what I need you to do is get all of your pieces together. So we're going to start making a jigsaw puzzle and your back plate. And what we're going to do is going to get this piece and the 2 paddles, and with the 2 paddles you're going to put the rod and put them through this hole in about halfway, so it's nice and central on both of the paddles. And then if you look on here, on the back of here, it says K1 and K2, so get your K2 paddle, place it onto where the fittings are and push it in, and it will click in. Now here's another tip for you. I just want to make sure that when it clicks in, the rods aren't too far touching this side and this side. Make sure it's nice and central, and there's kind of like room for it to move. It will only move a little bit, but it's got room to move. And then with the other side, pop that in there, just making sure that there's room either side of the rod, that the rod isn't touching. If I can just show you that, it's just touching that circle bit there, so I need to move the rod up a little bit. Okay, so just push it up, push the rod up a tiny bit, and then click it back in. There we go. So now there's room either side of the rods. Then what you're going to do is you're going to screw this onto the backplate that comes with the kit. What you're going to do is you're going to place it on there. That's locating so you can fit it fits in there, so it will click in and it won't move. Fold it over. Get 4 of these screws and screw them in. Next up, we're going to be building this little piece. So get this kind of shell, and it says K3 and K4 on it. So K4, K3. So get the piece, this one, that says K3, so we know that's this side. Poke it up and in to there, and it fits on those 2 pins. It won't stay there. Mine doesn't stay there. It's a little bit loose. Okay, so it might be loose at the minute. And then do the other one, K4, other side. Just poke it up through and fit it on the pins. Then what you're going to do is going to get this bit here, and then you're just going to poke that through, and it's going to sit on some pins in there. That's an easy one, and that does stay in there. And then with this piece, you're going to lay this in the middle, and there's only one way for it to go. There's a little piece on the side here that just fits in, so it's obvious which way round it goes. It can only go one way round. Once that's done, we're going to put the back plate on. So get the cable and then poke it through that hole in the back plate and just put it on. Don't put it on all the way fully, just put it on gently, just a little bit like that, like so. Get this piece, so this is out of the pack, and where this bit is on this side, you're going to plug the cable, but you're going to make sure that the black side of the cable is facing outwards. Okay, so here we need this black piece facing outwards, not this facing outwards. So like this way, poke that in, like so, fold down the black piece, and that's the way you should have it. Next up, we're going to be fitting this onto here, but this is the reason why I said don't have this closed just yet, because you need to feed this cable all the way back in there a little bit. So get the cable fed all the way back in and get this loosely pressed on if you can, and then fit the controller case back together, because just make sure there's no cables poking, because if you close up this case and you haven't poked this in, it's really difficult to feed it in. So you've got it fed in. Now we're going to be closing up nicely, and then we're just going to make sure that this is fitted in there. Now what we're going to do is we're going to securely fit this with 2 screws. Now what you're going to need is you're going to need the smaller screws in the pack. So there are some normal kind of sized screws and some thinner screws. It's the 2 thinner screws that you need for this, okay? So grab them and then screw one into there and one into there. Once that's done, we can test. Yeah, nice and clicky. Now, my another tip here for you is if this isn't very clicky, just make sure this is in pretty tight, okay? Just be careful, but just keep tightening it a little bit until this is nice and clicky, because I found if this was quite loose, then this isn't going to click very much. And same with this one. If this was a little bit loose, this wasn't going to click. So you should hear this nice, really nice clicking sound from that. Okay, next up, what we're going to do is going to put this piece back on. Now, with mine, as I was saying, it was very loose, so you've got to be a little bit careful. The longer edge goes to the top, the shorter edge to the bottom, and the way you do this is you put it into the bottom. There's 2 kind of pieces there that fit. Poke it into the bottom there like that, push it onto the top, and then just click it on. Ready? There we go. Okay, now we can test it. Nice and clicky. Next up, we want to get these 4 screws back in. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So get those 4 screws back in. Once that's done, we need these. So let's get L1 and L2 put in. And all you're going to do is you're going to put it on right in the center, right in the middle. Easy. And then just poke it in. Done. Next one. Onto the R, into the middle, down it goes. Lovely. Next up, and probably the most fiddliest part, I always find this fiddly, is putting this plate back on. So over the thumbsticks, pull it back a little bit, and it's these bits here that are a bit fiddly to get in because they need to go in, but just underneath the controller plate. That one's in. And that one's in. And then once they're in at the top there, just start pushing it down like that. There we have it. There we have. That's it. That's the Rise Map 4 with the 4 buttons. And now I'm going to tell you how to remap it. Welcome down to the games room. I've got my PS5 connected up to my DualSense. For this to work, you need the DualSense connected, as you can see. And now I've got jump on X and I've got her boost on R1. So we're going to do that for the paddles. And then if you spin it over, we're going to put it on these 2 paddles. Exactly the same process if you're going to be using any of these buttons as well. And this middle bit here is a power button, and in here is a very faint LED, which I'm not sure you'll be able to see on camera. But what you do to set get it going is hold it down, power for a few seconds, and then this red LED will appear. So the red LED's appeared on there. I don't know if you can see that in there or not. What you're going to do, once it's solid, you're going to hold down the paddle and the button that you want it to be. So I want boost to be on this one, so I hold down this and the boost, and then hold that, and the red LED will flash, and it's flashed, so I can let that go. And then I'm going to do this paddle and X, so I'm going to hold down the paddle and X until the red LED, there we go, the red LED's flashed, so I can let it go. And then I'm going to hold down that power button again until the LED goes out, which it has done. Therefore, I know that on here is jump, and this one is dash. Works with all of them. So whichever one you want to do, if you want to put these on in any of the face buttons or the triggers, it works an absolute treat. If you want to get rid of it, if you want to kind of like remove it, you just repeat the process. So you turn it on, you hold down the button, hold down the corresponding buttons together, it will flash 3 times, and that will mean that it's turned off. That was it then. That was my look at this, the Extremerate Rise4 remap kit for your PS5 controller, adding all the buttons. Absolutely superb. Okay, I hope it was of some use to you. I'll leave links down below where you can get hold of all the kits and everything. Do stick your thumbs up, please do subscribe, and until the next video. Bye-bye.